everybody. Welcome to the Junior Parent Night. We are going to go over a lot of things tonight, but the first thing I want to mention is that we do have the QR code up on the screen. So if you want to pull out your camera, aim it at the QR code, click on the link, you can follow along. There's some interactive links that you can go to within the presentation as well. A few other things to mention this evening too is that this is going to be recorded by OCA Media, and the recording will get sent out to you at a later date. So if there's things that you're curious about or feel like you maybe missed or want to go back and review, there will be the video sent out to you. Additionally, if you're needing Spanish translation, we do have Spanish translation in the back. So let's get started. So I'll start with some introductions. So the people that you're going to be hearing from tonight were all a part of our student services team here at OHS. And so these are our counselors. So we have 3 counselors who split up the school by alphabet, which includes Miss J, who has everybody with last names A through F and who are in the AVID program. We have Miss Angeli, who has all students with last names G through N. I'm Miss Schaefer, so I have all students with last names O through Z. And then we also have Miss Tracy, who's our coordinating counselor. So she does a lot of our behind the scenes work. For instance, setting up tonight. She set up our senior night earlier this week. She does a lot of assessment coordination, that sort of thing. You probably get a lot of emails from Miss Tracy. Other people on our team, I won't go into too much detail, but just want you to kind of see some familiar faces. We have our 2 admin assistants, Miss Polke and Miss Otterson. We have Miss Mitchell, who's our social worker. We also have Miss D'Amelio, who you'll hear from tonight as well. She's a part of our School to Career program, and she coordinates that along with early college credits. Miss Oscar is our mental health coordinator. We have 2 school psychologists, Miss Lauby and Miss Hanson. And then we also have Miss Dowser, who's our social emotional learning coach. As you're probably familiar with, we split up the school into neighborhoods, and so this is just the associate principal who is affiliated with the different alphabet split. So Miss Zawicki is paired with Miss J, Mr. Hunter is paired with Miss Angeli, and then Mr. Ashmore and I are a team as well. This is what we're covering this evening. So just to give you a little overview, we're going to be going over graduation requirements, honor awards at OHS, the college application process, the ACT, college credits and other opportunities, along with some post-secondary options. One thing to keep in mind, don't feel pressure to feel like you have to remember everything that we cover tonight. We are in the process of scheduling individual junior conferences with all of the juniors in the building, which parents and guardians are also invited to. So many of you might have already gotten an invitation, or the invitations we're working on trying to make sure all of them are scheduled by the end of this week. So you should hopefully be getting an invitation very soon if you haven't gotten one already. And during those junior conferences, we'll go through a lot of the information that you see tonight, but in more depth, and then we'll also tailor those meetings to what your students' post-secondary plans are. Okay, so graduation requirements. This is probably an overview for many, but I also just want to make sure that everybody's aware that you need 23 credits in order to walk across that stage at the end of senior year and get that high school diploma. So to get those 23 credits, this is the content area breakdown. So you need 4 credits of English, which is 4 years of English, 3 years or 3 credits of math, 3 credits of science, 3 of social studies, 1.5 of Phi-Ed, a half credit of health. Personal finance is one of the new graduation requirements that was decided by the Board of Education, and then elective credits. So that's what equates to the 23 total credits. Additionally, to get your diploma, you also need your 40 service hours. So we have opportunities within the building to get service hours, or we also have opportunities outside of the school in the community to get service hours. And so math co-teaching, peer tutoring, or cadetting are some of the ways that you can earn hours at OHS. And then there's a few different ways to submit your hours as well. You can either do a hard copy, piece of paper that you can get from Student Services, or we have the Google form link that you can fill out. This is the transcript. So I know it's really hard to see, but mostly we're going to talk a little bit more about official versus unofficial transcripts later, how to order transcripts. But I want to point out 2 things on a transcript. So your students and you all have access to the transcript, an unofficial transcript in Infinite Campus. The blue box at the top is the cumulative GPA, so that's what would get sent to colleges, scholarships, the military, the workforce. It's the total GPA of all of the classes that your student has taken so far at the high school. The red box is what we call a credit summary. So this is where you can see how many credits have been attempted, how many credits have been earned so far in the high school career. So I know it's really hard to see, but this is a student who is a senior, and so you can see that they have 25 and a half credits, so they've met the credit requirement of 23 or more to get their diploma. Moving on to honors awards. Oregon High School has a few different honors awards that we like to make sure juniors and their families are aware of, because they do start in junior year. So the Law Day Awards, the breakdown of Law Day Awards, Summa Cum Laude, Magna Cum Laude, and Cum Laude are listed up there. That's determined after first semester of senior year. And then we also have Student Honors Awards, which are based on the number of advanced credits a student takes. These are both denoted on the graduation program at graduation senior year. And then National Honor Society is actually something that's determined after first semester of junior year. So if you have a baseline GPA of 3.7 after that first semester coming up in January, you'll be invited to apply to National Honor Society. Once you apply and you're admitted, there's an induction ceremony, and then you have to earn additional service hours. So there's some required meetings that you have to attend, but then you have the National Honor Society denotion on your stole at graduation. So it's like an extra honor at graduation. It's also something that many students add to their resume when applying to school. Ms. Kangas, who's our librarian, is also our National Honor Society advisor. So her email is included in this presentation. So if you have questions specifically about National Honor Society, she can answer them much more in depth than I can. All right, next we're moving on to college applications.
All right, hey everybody, I'm Miss Angeli, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the college application process. I do want to mention we are going to talk tonight about 4-year, 2-year, military, workforce, apprenticeships. I'm going to start by kind of going over the 4-year process with you. So if you take a look up here, you're going to see a nice timeline, specifically looking where there is the star up there. I know it's kind of hard to see. You can see that junior year is really a great time to start researching the schools that a student might be interested in. And this is for any post-secondary place that you're looking. In March of this year, you can see the students will take the ACT. And we recommend, especially after that, then really getting out and visiting some of these campuses, getting a feel for what they're like when you step onto them. And then August 1st, applications will open. So this next summer is when the applications will open. There are a lot of different components of the application process and different things you're going to need. So some of these things are linked up here with a lot more detail. I'm going to just kind of very quickly go through, and then we're going to break down each of these as we go through tonight. So I'm going to talk a little bit about college applications in just a second and break down how it works. But you're going to see we're going to talk about application fees, how to order an official transcript, specifically through parchment.com. And in your junior conferences, we're going to talk a lot more breaking down how to go to parchment.com, how to order that transcript, how to send your ACT to wherever you need it sent. So whether it's an apprenticeship, workforce, 4-year school, 2-year school, if they're requesting the ACT, they will want it sent from ACT.org from your MyACT account. So I think it's Miss Tracy's going to talk a little bit more about that. And the essay, we put linked in there some really helpful hints and suggestions that we've been given. The counselors met with a variety of reps from different UW system schools a couple weeks ago, and one of the things they mentioned is with direct admit, especially now, they feel like the schools that are still requiring essays, they honestly said it's probably the most important part. That is the part they're really looking at in the application. So we put some hints up there. And just a reminder, The only public school in Wisconsin that requires a letter of rec for your school is UW-Madison. Of course, it's optional at the other schools, but we always like to say that. And then private schools and out-of-state have their own requirements as well. Okay, so kind of breaking down, if you are interested in a public four-year school in Wisconsin, one of the Universities of Wisconsin schools, formerly called the UW System Schools, there are 3 different ways you can potentially get in. The first way is the traditional application, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of these in a second, but the first way is the traditional application, and then new this year is direct admission or direct admit and Wisconsin Guarantee. So let's start out, and I have my notes because, to be honest with you, this is a learning process for all of us. The counselors are kind of learning this too since it's new this year. And so if you do have questions, we want you to know we're going to be down in front at the end and we can kind of work through them all together. So direct admit is really a way for students to kind of be proactive and receive an answer early on admission to one of the University of Wisconsin schools. 10 of the 13 UW schools participate. So the 3 schools that do not participate in direct admit are UW Eau Claire, UW La Crosse, and UW-Madison. And as parents, when you opt in for your child to do direct admit, what you are doing is giving access to the UW system to have the ability to access your child's courses they've taken here, as well as their GPAs. And they use that information then to look at the end of 11th grade and essentially give them an offer after 11th grade sometime without having to submit a traditional application. I do want to make sure to mention that the district is going to be sending an email probably in the next week or so on how to opt in. And I believe they mentioned something about, like, within the parent portal and IC, you might have a notification that you have a document to review. But you should be getting an email from the district in the next week or so, giving more specific instructions on how to do that. Okay, so that's direct admit, right? That's covering 10 of the 13 UW schools. So the other option of a way into a UW school is something called the Wisconsin Guarantee, or Act 95. You might have heard it referred to that way as well. And in a way, this kind of covers Eau Claire, La Crosse, and Madison. Okay, so let's start first with Eau Claire, La Crosse. So what it's going to do is offer admission to all UW schools, and right now I'm not talking about Madison, all UW schools except Madison, if you're in the top 10% based on GPA at the end of 11th grade. Or if you're homeschooled or attending a virtual private school, it's based on ACT being in the top 90th% or a national merit finalist. So if you're in the top 10% based on GPA for the majority of our public school students here, at the end of 11th grade, then that would guarantee admission to all UW schools except Madison. So that's kind of covering the La Crosse Eau Claire piece. Now, you're going to hear, I'm going to talk about Madison, and then I'm going to talk about what you also have to do. So you still have to apply to these schools. Unlike direct admit, you have to apply with Wisconsin Guarantee, and there's certain components I'm going to come back to. So let's talk about Madison. For UW-Madison with Wisconsin Guarantee, this is going to be the top 5% based on GPA at the end of 11th grade, or top 95th% for ACT if you're homeschooled or a virtual private school, or national merit semifinalist. And, so this is the and part, right? So you're either in the top 10%, top 5%, and you need to do those 3 things at the bottom. You have to apply by the early admission deadline, which is November 1st. You've got to meet the minimum course requirements, and you must submit all materials for review. So essentially, with Wisconsin Guarantee, you still need to apply, and you want to apply early. All right, so we've got direct admit, we've got Wisconsin Guarantee, and the third way to get into a UW system school would be a traditional application, okay? So this might be somebody who wants to get into UW-Madison and is not in the top 5%. Or this might be someone who wants to get into lacrosse and is not in the top 10%, which we have every year, and we have many students, we have acceptances from all different schools that are at our campus. This also would be somebody who did not want to do direct admin and opt in and is interested in Whitewater, for example. And so what you would do here is just the traditional application through the Universities of Wisconsin system or the UW, formerly called the UW system app. So that's kind of covering the UW schools, four-year schools in Wisconsin. Now, if you're interested in going to Marquette or a private school or University of Minnesota Twin Cities and Berkeley, or you're trying to apply in-state, out-of-state, private school, and a public school, there's another application called Common Application. And this is where you do one application, check, 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 it goes out to all the different schools. I will say a couple things about this. Not every UW school, like lacrosse, is not on Common App, for example. So if you were going to do lacrosse and those other schools, you would have to do both the UW systems application and you'd have to do Common App. So there are a few exceptions to it, but overall the benefit of Common App is this one application that goes out to all the schools. If you apply through Common App, the one thing the counselors ask of you is that you let us know early on if you apply, because we have to rate 100% of the students who apply through Common App on your academics, your extracurriculars, and I think the last category is personal traits / character. So you may get an email from us, or we may reach out to you and say, can you please send us a brag sheet or a resume? And it really is to help you. We really want to do a good job for you guys. So the sooner you can give us that information, then we can take our time if your school's requiring a letter of rec or from a counselor, or if we need to rate you, okay? I know that's a lot of information on the application process, and if it feels like your head is spinning, that's a pretty normal feeling at this point. So we want you to know we are going to be here at the end. We're going to stick around and be down here to kind of answer questions unique to your student or unique to yourself and try to work through them with you. All right, Ms. Tracy, can you talk to them about how to order the ACT?
Okay, so being a counselor for almost 20 years now, that is confusing. So I imagine you guys are confused as well. So thank you guys for doing that piece. I'll stick to assessments. So like Ms. Angeli said, all the juniors across the state of Wisconsin, 65,000-ish, do the ACT in March. So it's a statewide exam. It counts towards our school report card, all that good stuff. The benefit to students is that it's free. The school covers the cost. And this is like 70, probably more now, $70 test. And it includes the writing piece as well. Students can take the ACT up to 12 times. So I say don't fret so much about this free opportunity. Take this as your chance to just get in there, take it, see how you do, and then maybe if you want to focus on your ACT prep resources in a specific area, then feel free to do that, and we're going to go over a couple of resources here in a second. But just know that the March 11th ACT is free. And for those of you looking to go into the trades or Madison College or a technical college, it would kind of replace like the AccuPlacer, which is like a placement test at the technical college level or apprenticeships, etc. So it still will be useful. And when you register, which we're going to do during Connections in February, you can list up to 4 schools that can receive your ACT score for free. Or if you're like, I don't really know where I want to send it yet, don't worry about it. You can always send it afterwards for a fee of $12, $13-ish. But we just like to mention that. So, like I said, in Connections in February, it's typically around Valentine's Day, that we will have all of the juniors go in with their 9-digit code that DPI will send to us. They give us a code for each and every student, and I will give that to the students, and then we'll go register for the ACT through my ACT portal. So we'll take care of all of that in February before the March test. And this is just what the homepage will look like. Has anybody, I know there's not a ton of juniors in here, has anybody taken the ACT already? Not yet. Okay, so when you go to the homepage, the dashboard, it'll have us enter that student code that the DPI is going to assign to us. And then always make note of your ACT ID, because I get phone calls from graduates that have graduated. What's my ACT ID? And sometimes I can find it, sometimes I can't. The ACT portal on the teacher side of things is somewhat newer, so there's only a few years available so far. So I can't always access it, but ACT ID seems to be what students ask for. So as I mentioned, the prep opportunities, so me, myself, mother of 3, I'm always looking for the cheaper, less expensive opportunities, which are definitely out there for the ACT. So the top 3 are free resources, completely free. I would definitely start with those. As mentioned, so ACT.org has resources. There's a practice booklet, which kind of goes through the entire test if you wanted to time yourself and see how you did. Test Nav is actually the test portal that we use for ACT. And when you go to that link, and there's like a sign-in page, you don't sign in, you just go to practice tests underneath the sign-in, and it'll take you to free questions that you can go through and just kind of get the feel for it. And then also I like to mention the Horizon ACT test prep. So this is an additional opportunity to practice, and we are very grateful because our admin pays a lot of money for all of our students to do the Horizon ACT practice test. So these juniors took this test in February of freshman year. And then last year we only did juniors, and then we realized how beneficial it was to have all grades 9, 10, and 11 do it. So we're going to be doing this test on November 12th, and I'm going to have a few more slides to give you a little more information about that. But if you'd like to see a little demo video, there's a link there. It's about 12 minutes long. If you're bored this weekend, you can check it out just to kind of see what that's about. And then the next 3 opportunities that are available do come with a cost. So the Doorway to College ZAPS test prep, that one's about $100, and we host that here at the high school in February. It's 2 nights in a row, February 10th and 11th, 6:30 to 9, I think is usually what they run. So that's kind of more of a focused test prep, if you're interested in that. McFarland offers a 6-week course. It's about $250, so a little bit more expensive. They start with like a pre-test, and then they go over each of the sections, and then they do like another practice test at the end, so it's a little bit longer, a little more in depth. And then the on-campus college planning can get a bit pricey, so that's a little bit more like one-on-one ACT individualized tutoring. So I just list that one because some of our students have had a really good experience with them as well. So like I said, start with the free stuff first, see how you do. And then this is just a quick kind of a glance at what Tuesday, November 12th will look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to test in the morning, and I know you can't really see that very well, but grades 9, 10, and 11 will be testing in the morning. The juniors test is about an hour longer, so we're going to have to try to entertain the squirrely 9th and 10th graders a little bit longer. And then the seniors will have come in after lunch, because we use the whole building for, 900, 1,000 students testing that morning. Here's kind of what for juniors, this is the time. Just to kind of give you an idea about how much time you should spend on each question, and we'll talk more about this in connections too, but I just wanted parents to be aware of what it is, so it does cover the 4 subject areas. But what students seem to like about this Horizon is as soon as they hit submit, they get their instant score, which is pretty cool. And then they can see where they rank among the students nationally. They can view their individual score report, and they can go to question 34 and see what the answer was and why they got it wrong. They can also compare their benchmark scores to see where everyone else is kind of lining up, and maybe I need to work on English, or I need to work on math a little bit more. There's a score breakdown by each individual section, And then it just shows different ways to improve the score, those kinds of things. So again, this is just all ACT test prep. And then I think I talk about, yes, AP. So AP is advanced placement. And again, this is another way to earn some college credits. So if a student takes an AP or advanced placement course junior year, or we have students that take several courses, at the end of the year in May, they'll take the AP test, which is about $103 per test. And depending on how you score on that exam, 1 through 5, 5 being the highest, if you get at least a 3, 4, or 5, then that equates to college credits, and it's going to be a little bit different depending on which school you're looking at. So there's actually a link, the UW Help, oops, I need to update that, they changed their name. That's a thing in education. They like to change them every year just to keep us on our toes. So now it's called Go Wisconsin instead of UW Help. But there's a credit search engine. So if you wanted to say, well, how many credits would I get at lacrosse for a score of a 4 on my AP Psych exam? So that's kind of what you can use that site for, just to see what you would need to score to get how many credits at which university. And then sending your AP scores, which we can talk more about senior year, because you'll actually send those directly from your My AP account, because we won't have those scores. So kind of like a transcript, you'll send your ACT scores from the ACT site, you'll send your AP scores from the AP site. Yep, I covered it. And then my last little plug, like Ms. Schaefer said, you're probably getting lots of emails from me if your student is in an AP class, and I apologize, but we've just hit that 801 AP exams this year. So it's gotten it's great news, right, that everybody's taking AP, but I just cannot manually keep track of all the payments anymore. So we're using total registration as the payment portal, because it just got to be 80,000 is just too much for me to try to keep track of. So most of the students, I'd say 95% of the 800, have completed step 1. And that's typically during class. They enter the join code in their AP classroom. So those students I have on the list saying, yep, I want to take the exam. And then I only have about 25% of the 800 that have actually followed through with step 2. So we need to take care of step number 2 through the total registration portal by November 4th so that I can hit the order button on those. And like I said, it's 103 per exam, so students that are taking 6 exams, you can imagine it's quite pricey. So you just have to do the $40 deposit, and that's a college board. They don't refund that deposit if you change your mind after November 4th. They keep your $40. We don't keep your $40, College Board does. So it's $40 per exam, and then you'll have until May 1st to pay off the remaining balance, because I know it's coming up on Christmas and you gotta buy gifts and stuff like that, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Any questions? Again, I'm Missy Tracy, so feel free to reach out anytime. Ms. D'Amelio?
Good evening. I'm Anna D'Amelio. I'm the School to Career Coordinator. It's great to see you all here tonight. I have a few things I'd like to chat with you about. Some opportunities that are available to juniors and seniors, but for the most part, juniors are the ones who are able to take advantage of them. First thing, I'm going to talk about possibilities for students to earn college credit through either the Early College Credit Program, which is associated with the UW System Schools, or through the Start College Now program, which is associated with Madison College and other technical college system schools. I also should have one other thing up here. Another way they can earn dual credit would be by taking a dual credit course here, where the instructor has been certified by, say, Madison College to teach the class, and the student would start their Madison College transcript, and they would also get high school credit. More information about that's on my website. I have a QR code listed up there, so it'll take you to my School to Career website. Anyway, if a student is interested in, how does this work? No, the wrong way. Okay, so if a student is interested in taking a Start College Now class at Madison College. An advisor for Madison College will come. They'll come in like January and February, and I get information out to students. And so the nice thing about Madison College is an advisor will come and help give students an idea which classes they can take or should take or might align. They don't necessarily have advisors come to the school for the early college credit program. So when a student wants to take a class at, say, UW-Madison or another UW system school, you know, the amount of advising may vary among schools. What happens is when a student decides they want to take one of those college classes through their Start College Now or early college credit, they'll fill out an application, and then it'll go through the school system for approval. There's a couple things. If we teach something here, they can't take that class at a college level because we already offer it, kind of a thing. Also, a student has to have at least a 2.0 GPA. Those are kind of important things. Also, it's important to think about how you're going to get that class to fit into your schedule. So some classes are virtual, and so a student can, you know, do a virtual asynchronous class at 6 at night if they like, and that's fine. But think in terms of what your athletic and club obligations are. Think in terms of what classes you want to take while you're here next year, and how can you fit this into your day. So one of the things I recommend is to, if you have to go off campus for a class, to try to fit it in either the early part of the day or the latter part of the day, because you have to think in terms of driving to the school, parking, walking to class, and all that. And so think about logistics too. Just because you fill out and get approved to take an early college credit or Start College Now class in March 1st, which is the deadline for the fall next year, doesn't mean you have to do it. It just opens the door for you if you wish to do that. So more information about that on my website, or feel free to email me if you like. There's some work experience opportunities here. We have youth apprenticeship and we have employability skills work experience. So youth apprenticeship is more career focused. So for example, let's say a student's taken a few business classes, or they've taken some autos classes or some other trades classes or something maybe like IT or engineering. And they're like, hey, I think I really like this stuff. I've got some experience. I can kind of start building my resume based on the classes that I took, some of the skills I've gotten. I'm going to apply for youth apprenticeship. And so youth apprenticeship, we can't guarantee that your child will get a job, but what we'll do is we've got some partnerships where we try to connect students with jobs. And we also have students who have family members or friends, and they'll say, hey, I can get my student or child hooked onto this company. So it's really a puzzle that we spend some time putting together, but it's fun. It's a good experience. There's checklists for youth apprenticeship that the state comes up with so that, you know, your students not just sweeping the floor the whole day. They're trying to do things that will improve their skill level and things that'll beef up their resume and help them decide whether they like that career or not. With the employability skills work experience program, really the emphasis there is improving those soft skills. A student may have a job, maybe they work at Culver's, maybe they have some other job that they have, and they maybe need some work credit, or they might need some elective credit, or they need some release built into their schedule. That program is less career focused, but it's definitely something where they can earn some school credit and improve their soft skills. More information is on the School to Career website. I've got a link there when you look at the copy of this slideshow, and then also we got the QR code. Something else, a student can do youth apprenticeship in the trades, obviously, while they're in high school, but coupled with that, if you think you're a student, or if you're, I know there aren't as many students here, but if you're a student, you're like, hey, I think I want to do something in the building trades, WRTP Big Step's going to be here 4 times this year. They're going to be here next week, and then they'll be here again in December, February, and April. And they're going to be here from 9 to noon, and so it's kind of a drop-in type of thing. And they're going to be in the library. There's a little classroom in the back of the library, so find a time when it might work for you, or you could tell your student to stop by, and they'll help students figure out, okay, well, what are the steps to get into a building trades career? Is there something they can do to help support them in getting a youth apprenticeship next year where they would work with me as well? So they'll give students, they'll help hold their hand through that transition from high school to that construction trades career. And they've got all sorts of different connections. It's associated with the trades union, and there's a lot of companies that are associated with that. And there we go, military. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelly Jurasevich. Students call me Miss J because Jurasevich is really hard. And I promise I'm the last person to talk at you this evening. So we've been talking a lot about four-year universities and the application process and all of that. We also recognize there are many different pathways after high school for students, so we wanted to touch on a couple of those. And then again, as Ms. Angeli mentioned, in your students' individual junior conference, we can kind of focus in on what their pathway is and give you a little more information then too. So the military is an option. We have linked the U.S. Department of Defense here for you. This is a little bit more of an interactive slide that you can access the different branches to learn more about those. We also wanted to put a plug that we will be having another ASVAB exam date sometime this spring. We aren't quite sure when that's going to be yet, but we will let you know once that date is solidified. This is an entrance exam for most military branches. It also, though, can be used as a career interest inventory assessment. So if you're a student who's like, I'm not really sure what I'm interested in, this could be a really good tool for you to kind of learn a little bit about where your strengths lie and what you might be interested in. The Wisconsin Technical College system is the two-year universities, so there are more than 500 different associate's degrees, technical degrees, and certifications that you can earn through a technical college, and there are 16 different campuses across Wisconsin. So this is a really great opportunity for students who maybe want to get a technical degree, or maybe you want to start out at a smaller campus and save a little money before transferring to a four-year university. That is another really great opportunity. Madison College is one that I just want to point out because that's kind of our most popular technical school that most students who attend technical colleges will go to. Next year, as a senior, there will be some free application days that Madison College will come to OHS, be in the library, and will help students complete that application. There will be no fee, and you have somebody sitting there and assisting you with that process. So it's a really great opportunity to get some extra support on completing that application. Scholars of Promise is a tuition assistance program that is offered through Madison College for Wisconsin resident students. So that is a really great opportunity to get some support in paying for college. So definitely check that out if you're interested in Madison College. You can learn more on their website. Then the Wisconsin private schools. So this is comprised of 23 different private or independent universities. The link that is up there is the way that you can access all of the different schools that are listed. This is just another opportunity for students who maybe want a smaller environment, and you can learn more about each of those individual schools through that link, learn about their programs that they offer, their financial aid options, the application process, their requirements, all of that. So just again, another opportunity outside of the Wisconsin systems that we were talking about before. Go Wisconsin, what was mentioned already before, formerly was called UW Help. So this is a link to their website that has a bunch of information, detailed information about all of the different University of Wisconsin system campuses, including the two-year universities. So it has information on admissions requirements, financial aid, different deadlines, and then there are a lot of really great helpful resources like Find My Major. There's also an app that students can download called UW Journey, where they can fill out a survey and it'll tell you which UW campus is the best fit for you based off of your interests, based off of what you might be interested in studying. So it's a really great tool for students to use. It kind of gives you that information right away. So I highly recommend checking out this website if you are looking for more detailed information about the UW systems. Okay, some college fair information. So college fairs are a great way for students to interact with admissions reps from different universities. Great opportunity to ask questions, get some more information on programs, etc. There is a national virtual college fair coming up in November, so again, that's going to be more national, so you'll be able to see schools from across the nation. But there also is a Wisconsin Education College Fair that's going to be held in Verona in March. So that's a great opportunity to get in front of more local schools.
And then we've also linked some questions to consider asking an admissions rep when you go to these college fairs. So this is a really helpful tool for students to come prepared in knowing what maybe to ask, and so that they can learn best from these admissions reps. We also will be hosting a post-secondary night, so a college and career fair here at the high school in March. That will be in the Commons. We will have a lot of the local universities coming, as well as the military and employers. And this is, again, another great opportunity for students to get in front of people who know the most about those universities or those jobs or those military branches. So we highly recommend coming and attending that and bring those questions. Okay, last thing of the evening, just some helpful links for you. A lot of these are going to be direct links to that Go Wisconsin website I talked about. So the UW Journey that I mentioned, the My Majors quiz, as well as just some general information about applications and transcripts and etc. So we will kind of walk through some of these more in your junior conference. So that's the end of our evening. We will be down here to answer any individual questions if you have those, and we just really want to thank your time and attention this evening, and we hope you have a really great night.
Just